The institutions you are most dealing with, or participating with, or are most in contact with, you put the closest to you. If the contact is less frequent, the institution comes further away from you. This is an example in how the flip chart will look like after all the names of institutions on the colored circles have been collected. The fifth and last method is mapping. This is a method which visualizes the key resources, infrastructure, people, and other means in a defined area. This method is very useful for identifying resources and means in a community. It also provides deeper insight on what resources or infrastructure are well provided for and which are not and should be improved. The next key step is identifying our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. In this phase, we analyze the strengths and weaknesses of the organization or institution and the opportunities and dangers that are coming from the external world, which are not in control of the participants. The following aspects are being considered. Strengths. What do we have that helps us accomplish our vision? Weaknesses. What are we lacking? Where are we weaker? Opportunities. Where do we see external possibilities to work towards our vision? Dangers. What challenges do we see on our way? What external threats may block us? In the article, The Use and Misuse of SWOT Analysis and Implications for HRD Professionals, the SWOT analysis is defined as an effective strategy that takes advantage of the organization's opportunities by employing its strengths and wards of threats, by avoiding them, or by correcting or compensating for weaknesses. Each of these general steps is described as an attempt to provide a generic model of SWOT analysis. First step is to define the objective. The first step is to define the desired end state or objective, which should be explicit and approved by all participants in the process. Step 2 is to explain the process to participants. This is a critical process as it provides an explanation to the participants of all the procedures. This stage is important for communicating the total nature of the analysis to the participants and securing the attendance and participation of everyone in order to conduct a successful analysis. Step 3 is gathering opinions and perspectives from each individual to consider their organization as a whole and list its strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats on a 2x2 matrix worksheet. In the strengths, we ask, what are the internal competencies and capabilities? In weaknesses, we ask, what do we lack in internal competencies and capabilities? In exploiting opportunities, we ask what we could get in external positive circumstances. And in threats, we ask what we could lose in external negative circumstances. Step 4 is the consolidation of all these worksheets. The next task is to consolidate these responses into one larger picture, containing all of the perspectives on organizational strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Last step is to engage the group in a discussion and debate about the classification of each item, all towards forming a strategic dialogue. This is the part of the SWOT analysis with the most potential for creating change in participant viewpoints. As per Thompson, it is helpful to ask questions such as, how might this threat also be an opportunity? And does this opportunity contain threats as well? Also, how might this strength turn out to be a weakness? Answers to such questions may lead to new insights into choosing appropriate strategies and promote innovative ways of thinking about known issues in a new perspective. Also, these are the following things that potential partners can contribute that should be taken into consideration, including technical training or management expertise, leadership capabilities, ability to be team players, contribution to the direction and purpose of the partnership, ease of communication, partner resources, cultural and language background, and any drawbacks involving this. Next key step is to shortlist the most promising partners and define their roles in the program. Share the program goals and vision with them. In forming alliances, it is important that communication between partners at different levels of society be horizontal and interactive, not vertical and authoritative. There is still a tendency for experts to talk down at societal groups as someone inferior to them, but that is not what we intend in making partnerships. It is more productive to aim for the sort of circular flow of information between partners, such as shown in the social mobilization continuum. Creating a full circle of communication helps sustain participants' will, stimulate demand for focus and advocacy, deliver the information efficiently, and create a healthy standard that can be sustained from generation to generation. Also, one of the key steps is to discuss the program with all the partners and explain why they should partner program efforts. Address any concerns they may have in joining the program. The initiating institution must have an integrated approach to communication that involves all partners and stakeholders, encourages discussion among government agencies, communities, and identifies all needs and concerns. These actions will create an awareness and demand for effective discussions that will sustain the advocacy to its target audience and can enhance public understanding of the program's objectives and goals. Next key step is to obtain consensus on a common plan, targets, objectives, areas of responsibility, use of operational guidelines, procedures, and timeframes. If required, help build the capacity of the partner. Through frequent discussions or meetings with partners and other stakeholders, all important decisions should be consensus-based, and it is important to involve all stakeholders in discussions prior to arriving at decisions. After all those steps, next is to implement agreed activities according to the plan. Through advocacy, all the participants of a social mobilization program are encouraged to adopt a human rights-based approach and may have a policy focused on marginalized, vulnerable, and at-risk groups. Another expected outcome of advocacy activities will be strengthening of existing partnerships and forging of new partnerships with other stakeholders. Improved coordination and collaboration with multiple stakeholders will prevent duplication and lead to efficient implementation of activities. Next to the final key step is the sustained dialogue. Network and share information regularly with all partners on progress being made, any problems that need to be resolved, and how can they maximize their contribution. All communication activities make use of some form of media or channel of communication, which includes mass media, community media, and interpersonal communication, even with all this implementation. For it to be effective, communication should be understood as a two-way process, with participation and dialogue as key elements. Feedback is another important component of a successful communication campaign. The recipient of the message should be able to comment on the program content and show whether the message has been correctly received by its intended audience. One of the last key steps is to evaluate the progress of the campaign or the program. The questions for follow-up meetings, monitoring, and evaluation should be made to evaluate and reflect on the progress of the project, to analyze what has been done, not done, and what should be improved, and what new steps should be taken in the coming period. For the last but important key step is to document lessons learned and experiences. You can start by writing down your thoughts and consolidating them in a way that would reflect everything that the group have learned from their experiences and what they would do differently in the future. In documenting these lessons, one must be specific and must include all details that will help them prevent the kind of situations that would help them implement their next project effectively and efficiently. Keep track of the experiences using various methods mentioned earlier or from any method that your group may come up with. One vital step is to update your documentation regularly to ensure you capture new insights and lessons as they arise from time to time. One last step I can give from experience is to take whatever advocacy you have. You must take it to heart. Do your actions and initiatives every day based on these advocacies and make sure to apply it in whatever you are doing. Because when you do it like this, it becomes a learned gesture of your mind and body, and it reflects seamlessly to yourself and to those that surrounds you. Like the saying, walk the talk, you should take your advocacies to heart. Like what I did in this presentation, I am wearing our shirt, Di Tayong Kalikasan program, an advocacy to forge partnerships from agencies to the community for an effective implementation of our environmental program towards the protection and conservation of our natural resources. That ends my presentation. I hope you learned well. Feel free to put your understanding, comments, and clarifications about the topic, including answering these 2 questions for discussion. Thank you, and I hope you'll listen and interact with my groupmates as well. See you now, signing off.